Hello, fabulous Aquarius. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of July 2014, Love Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This is such an important month where it comes to love for you. Now, I will encourage you to watch the general horoscopes if you haven't already, because it is in the general horoscopes that I describe the full moon that's taking place in the sign just before yours. And in the context of love, this is going to be such an important full moon because it is going to mark a major transition moment for you. It is going to mark a moment where, as I say in that video, where I just see a lot of Aquarians out there saying, that was staring me in the face this whole time, and I can't believe I wasn't ready to acknowledge that. It is wisdom, it is knowledge, it is things you already know in your spirit that need to come to a higher level of awareness for you so that you can actually acknowledge it and say, okay, yes, now I see, and I can't go back. Things can't be what they were anymore because now I see that much more clearly. And because it is the moon, and the moon represents matters very emotional, this is likely to play out for you in the realm of relationships. But the most important thing with this is I don't want you to get too caught up in that, because especially where it comes to love, I don't want you to get too caught up in that energy, because the energy shifts so dramatically by month's end where it comes to love that no matter what you decide, no matter where it is that you are, really you are ready for a fresh start by the time the month ends. And late this month, we have a new moon taking place in your opposite sign. And when there is a new moon taking place in your opposite sign, it always represents that there's at least one person there, and it always does represent a new chapter where it comes to love as well. But what's really interesting about this particular new moon is that it is speaking with, not just speaking with, but it is happening with. It is right with Jupiter in the sky, having just moved into your opposite sign. And so I'm going to invite you to watch the Jupiter special for your sign, because the themes of love that I describe in that particular video that are going to be speaking throughout this year, this coming year, are really very pronounced at month's end. It's almost as if the universe kicks you into this new cycle thanks to this particular new moon. And it is what astrologers call conjunct Jupiter. And what's also happening with this particular new moon is that it is speaking with Mars. And Mars is at the very beginning of the sign of Scorpio after spending an unusually long time, 7 months, in the sign of Libra. And so we've got Mars speaking with this moon. And we've got this moon right with Jupiter in the sky. And I look at this particular configuration, and then sort of the next main thing that happens about 24 hours, a little over 24 hours later, is that this particular new moon is going to speak to Uranus as well. I look at this particular configuration taking place, and I do think that no matter what has been, there is every reason to hope that there is greater love available to you in the world and where you are right now. I do think that those of you who are in an established bond, really this month is going to represent a shift, a turning point in your relationship where you decide whether or not it works for you to continue walking this path together or not. And I do actually think a lot of Aquarians out there are going to have a willingness to work things out. Just be mindful that because we're going to have this healing energy coming in towards month's end, that whatever decisions are made in the middle of the month, it's more about acknowledging what is in the middle of the month. And then by the time we get you to the last week of the month, you kick off this new cycle. That really is going to be the fresh start that you were hoping for where it comes to your relationships. And I also think that there's an element here of you sort of acknowledging ultimately what it is that you want different. Even if you don't exactly know how that's going to manifest, it doesn't matter. But just acknowledging what it is that you need to be different, if this bond is going to last into the long term, is going to just help you in so many ways to make sure that you do move in a direction that you like with this particular relationship. And you start this coming year of healing energy coming in on truly strong ground. Those of you who have somebody in your sphere, I do think that the middle of the month does, because there's this energy there that's like, whoa, okay, I can't believe I wasn't willing to acknowledge that. Because there's that energy there, I do think that there's going to be a percentage of you out there that are going to find yourself not necessarily moving towards that person more deeply, but the other way. Okay. But that needn't worry you at all, because you have some of the absolute best, like really classically speaking, some of the best things to happen in the sky for you to find new love are available to you towards the end of the month. And so whatever it is that transpires, whatever comes up, just be honest and true to yourself. Be true to yourself about how you feel and if it works for you and if it doesn't. And if it doesn't, have the bravery to acknowledge that and the bravery to let go, because something new and way better than you've imagined is actually coming up very, very soon. It isn't that you have to wait so long, but the likelihood of that new chapter happening for you at the end of the month is very strongly indicated. Those of you who don't have anybody in your sphere right now, when there's a new moon taking place in your opposite sign, I got to say, there's always somebody. Somebody does pop up to help you learn, to help you understand yourself in the context of love. And because this particular new moon is so lit up, I do think that you're likely to use the middle of the month to recognize what needs to shift within you in some very important ways if you're going to move towards a future with greater love and greater wisdom. But to actually experience it and live it in the context of a relationship becomes very possible to you by the time we get you towards the end of the month. And so have faith, absolutely. Have faith that there is love available to you, no matter how hard things have been. If you're one of those people who decides in the middle of the month that you don't want to keep walking the path with whom you are walking with, it's okay to acknowledge that. It's okay to say to yourself, you know what, this isn't really working for me anymore. This is creating a lot of pain for me, because there's not going to be a lot of tolerance for that anymore. You also have your ancient ruler going direct, your modern ruler going retrograde. When I look at these planets doing this, it suggests to me that if there's been any hurt and there really isn't anywhere you've been suppressing and not willing to look at it, not willing to acknowledge that the bond isn't really working, you're going to get honest with yourself and understand what needs to end. Those of you who are single are likely to be removing some very important blocks that have kept you from the love that you desire, and very quickly the universe rewards you for that by presenting you with many opportunities, new opportunities in love. And it really is just kicking off the start of a very abundant year that will certainly move you towards greater love and greater wisdom as well. Thank you for watching. It'll be a great month. Be fabulous and enjoy.